Oh yeah, they already got it.
They got the whole damn world.
They just trying to dibble and dab on a little bit we got. You did?
Yeah. All right, so I started it back up. We're on straight B live. People should be coming in now.
Okay, so we're just basically now no background at all, right?
No, we suck, man. We just look like everybody else. Oh, I got to tag you in this one, I guess.
Now we ain't got the glitter in the background. You know,
we aren't funky.
The glitter.
We aren't funky. So,
all right, let me see.
Yeah, we're back. I'm gonna share it out to a few pages, and I was just telling Chris, there are times when we kid around and we joke that it's the deep state, and it's really not. It's just technical. Mm-hmm. But that time, that was them. That time that we started live, and for whatever reason, after we got going, someone reduced our bandwidth.
Right.
I think that this is some of the shadow banning things that they do, where they'll determine that they're not interested in the message, and they can crank it down in terms of bandwidth. So I'm gonna ask everybody to share.
Please share the video. Sharing is caring, y'all. You already know how it is. Sharing is caring. It's family. Please share with your friends. Share with your friends that don't like talking about this stuff. Share it with your friends that do like talking about this. Share it with everybody, because it's going to touch somebody. Somebody going to change their mind. You know what I mean, G? Somebody going to change their mind.
But I just get annoyed. I get annoyed when they kind of play this game, and so if they're playing this game, then yeah, I'm sharing. Right now, I'm sharing it out to like a couple different pages.
Okay. I'll go do the same.
Yeah, I get annoyed with stuff like that. Like at a certain point in time, you got to let people talk. Yeah. How do they know what we want to talk about?
They have no idea.
I was talking about beer and my son.
And they zoom right in. No, don't talk about that stuff.
They jump right out there, but this is the whole net neutrality thing, right? Like this is their new functionality where they don't have to shut you off. All they got to do is limit your bandwidth, and they can just wreak havoc in that way.
Right. And it's going to be to the point where they can pinpoint any location, IP address, or whatever the case that they need to. So they're going to have targeted stuff for that, and we'll just have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
But this is the struggle. This is the real struggle. The real, not the fantasy struggles, not the fuggles.
Not the fuggles.
Not the ones on TV. Because this is what I think. I think that you know what I do? I like to put myself in the seat of the billionaires in the elites, right? If I were the billionaires and the elites, and I owned all the TV stations and 6 corporations who ran 80% of the media, all worked for me and my friends. The last thing I would let the dumb monkey see is any real struggle on TV.
Real shit.
I want you running in the hamster wheel. I want you working for me. I want you doing anything you can do to fight with other people. But I'm not going to let anything real hit TV. Like if Trump had any effect on anything I was doing as a billionaire, I would want people talking about Trump, because that's that double blind, right? If the Democrats were doing anything good, I wouldn't let them on TV. But because they have no effect on my business, hell yeah, let the Democrats. The Republicans, they were actually fighting the deep state, and they wanted to bring back, and this is how it works to me. It's like if anything that's popular on television, it's not a real struggle. It's a fight. Right. It's just a struggle. It's a fake struggle. That's all it is. And so I think we're onto something. And if they start talking about like the Federal Reserve on MSNBC and CBS and CNN, I know the Federal Reserve has no more power.
Right. Then you know that they have they're meaningless. Right. And that's crazy, because that's so true. If they're talking about it on TV, that shit is unimportant in the grand scheme of things. And people haven't figured that out yet. That's why it's important for us to keep reiterating these points, that we have to stop watching mainstream media, that we have to take these labels away from our mind and just the identity politics schematics away from our logic, because we've allowed our logic to be defined by our identities in the political arena. And this shouldn't be true, because we are wholesome people. You know what I mean? We're really actually wholesome people at the heart of life. you know, but we've been turned into heathens because of the way we believe. We've been turned into savages because of, you know, the narratives that we allow ourselves to fall victim to, you know, and this is not something that is anything new. This is something that they've been doing for decades and decades and decades. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And Rebecca just mentioned something, and this is what alternative media is, and this is actually what we do. And sometimes I don't know if people realize it, but when y'all send us stuff in our inbox, that actually what drives us. Like that's when we send videos and clips and stuff. Like I'll go and I'll watch international news and stuff, but I'm always watching my inbox. I can't watch everything, and I can't click on every link. But the things that my friends on Facebook find important, that's where I'm starting to think that these things might be important. Now, mind you, some of them are out to lunch, and they still think that, you know, oligarchs don't run both the Democrat and Republican Party.
Right.
But I prefer like the hive activity, right? When I see a video and I see 3 and 4 and 5 people send me the same video, then I know there's something there. I know that people of critical thought are focusing on it, and that's what I focus in on. But anything on the mainstream, if it's on the mainstream media, you can pretty much count on it has no significance in the grand scheme of things that are wrong with this world.
Right.
And the bumblebees on the endangered list, man, I'm pissed off. You hear about that? The bumblebees?
You ain't heard nothing about that.
Ain't nowhere on TV. Ain't nowhere on TV.
You ain't want to hear about that on TV, man, because people, this is what it is, man. That has no connection to the triggers that they have placed in our mind. You know, I've realized that they have educated us to a way in which we're triggered. You know, they've educated us to expect to be triggered. So when we talk about America, we're expecting to be triggered about something. It's not something that we're like, okay, let's be clear. Let's just communicate from a place of peace, communicate from a place of love, communicate from a place of understanding. It's none of those things. When it's time to talk about it, the hate is boiling inside of us because we don't really, what I'm realizing is we don't know shit. And we're frustrated. We're pissed off because we don't know shit. So the best thing we can do is to use those narratives and use those lines and use those cliches that they've given us to defend ourselves. You know what I mean? So people that carry that patriotic shit on their sleeve, they have no idea that they failed to gain a whole heap of understanding about people, about life, about the different experiences that they can have when they open their mind up to all the other things that are happening outside of that box, you know?
Right. Well, you know, so to kind of touch on what you were saying, like we're definitely being controlled, all of us. Like, I appreciate the fact that you said we don't know anything. None of us do. I think collectively we know something. We're getting, you know, we're starting to get a view on what's happening. But in terms of like individually, there's just too much going on in too many different directions. There's too many lies, too many false blinds, too much controlled opposition. And so we only work together as a hive mind, right? Like everybody has to go out and do their own research and come back. Like the other thing I was on today was, or actually this weekend, was Martin Luther King, right? You know, I group Martin Luther King's killing with JFK's killing with 9/11. I'm convinced a lot of the same people were behind it, like the same oligarchical petro war, petrodollar, you know, big business schemes were behind all of it. And everyone's got their, you know, it's Israel and it's Hoover and it's this, that, and the other. But, you know, for me, it doesn't really matter who's behind it. The bottom line is your government refuses to investigate Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, or 9/11. They completely refuse. They don't give two damns, and that's both political parties. And I think if nothing else, that should be a wake-up call. But I don't know if you heard the latest on that. I was listening to the lawyer, and I guess it's latest for me. This apparently is a few years old, but so they already know that James Earl Ray didn't do it. They already know that. That's beyond. He had nothing to do with it. I was joking around this weekend. I said the only crime James Earl Ray did, he got caught driving while white with a rifle. That's the only
at the wrong place at the wrong time.
He was unpopular, right? But the funny thing is, I can relate to that. I can relate. I've had the police dogs in my car sniffing around. I've done that in the wrong place.
Wrong place.
An unpopular thing. And at that time, they were looking for a redneck to pin the crime on. And they sure got one. And anyone fit in. And so they got James Earl Ray. But apparently, the family hired a lawyer to go after it. And it was one of King's friends. Okay. And come to find out, there were a few things they uncovered. One thing, there was a sniper team in Memphis at the time.
Oh, wow.
And the sniper team all now live in Mexico.
Oh, wow. I think I heard that too. I think I heard that somewhere through the wire. That's crazy.
And they
it makes sense.
Well, it does make sense. And so that James Earl Ray, he was just a patsy guy they grabbed up. But apparently they know who did it. Okay. And someone told on him. The guy, he took the shot. And the whole purpose of sniper teams, if people don't know, they don't actually do the shooting, right? Yeah. What they do is they train you and they're the backup. If you back out, they're going to make sure that
they got somebody else. They got 3 people ready to take the shot.
Right, they're ready to go. Same thing with the JFK. And so, but anyway, he took the shot. He handed the gun to this other guy. The guy broke it down. That guy actually was a mechanic, and he went back to work. This guy broke down the gun and took it and put it back somewhere in some shop or something, some kitchen. And, but they know who this is and they know who the guy is. And so the Martin Luther King's family hired this lawyer, I forgot his name, to defend James Earl Ray.
Right.
And so they know who did it, but they can't say who did it for obvious reasons. But they know who killed Martin Luther King, and he's bopping around happy, right? They don't know who killed JFK. They don't give a damn.
Right.
And you got an idea who's behind 9/11, and they're not investigating. And nothing more than that tells me we don't have a government. We absolutely don't have a federal government. These people don't work for us, and we need to stop pretending that they do.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. We need to stop pretending that they do, and we need to stop pretending like the truth isn't still out there. I realized that people just chalked it up. Chalking it up means just forgot about it. Say, forget about it. Let's move on. Forget about it. It doesn't mean anything now. Let's move on. It has no weight right now. Let's move on. And this attitude is an attitude of defeat.
Right.
In my eyes, this is an attitude of defeat, because when we say forget about the past, let's move on. When we say forget about those things that happened in history, let's move on. We say that we're not going to allow ourselves to be educated about the truth of what happened in the past. And we're going to allow ourselves, with these minds that we have been given, to just keep that indoctrination settled in. The indoctrination doesn't leave, because it's like, for me to really break it down, in order for us to distance ourselves from that information that we were indoctrinated to believe, that's still inside of our minds. We have to replace it with something else. We have to people are stuck with the mind of, okay, the American system works. The American system works. It works, Chris. It works. It works. The American system is the only thing we know. It's work, Chris. And I get why people say that and repeat that and think that, because that's how they've been taught. That's the defense thing. When you have to defend yourself with something, but you don't know what else to defend yourself with, so you just use the rhetoric that you've been given. You have to be a patriot. You have to stand on the beliefs of American society. And then when you say, like what you just said, that there's still questions that have yet been answered. There's still election questions that have yet been answered. There's still monumental event as far as war questions that have yet been answered. But we're not asking the right questions to get those answers, because we've just settled with the mainstream media is okay. Even though they lied to us, we'll still rely on the same mainstream media that lied to us before, that lied to us then. They've lied to us over and over and over again. The government has lied to us over and over and over again. But I was thinking something the other day, G, the CIA. How is the CIA still in operation today, still untouched today? And people really say that, oh, wait, we have to vote. But then they'd say, when you say, well, what about the CIA? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What are you talking about? This? We'll deal with them later. Look, gee, we'll deal with them later. We'll deal with the CIA. What do you mean? What do we? It's crazy.
But you know what? I think what happens, though, is they keep coming at you. Like I think that's the big problem, is they don't stop, right? Like they keep hitting people. And but I think the thing is, you have to stay at it. You got to stay vigilant and keep reminding yourself. Like the reason I go back to King around his birthday is because I'm gearing myself up, reminding myself what I forgot from last year about the lies and the scams. I go back out to the FBI website, look at all the redacted information about the civil rights movement leaders that the Klan was working with, and how the FBI knew all of it. They didn't stop it. They could care less. And those closest to King turned on him. And the reason why is because a lot of those people rose to power after he was killed. And a lot of those people come up to his birthday.
Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson.
Exactly. You know,
Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton.
And so the thing that's important is they'll get on stage, man. They're gonna bring their quotes. They're gonna, oh, we love King, and King was, and he stood for that. And if Martin Luther King was alive today, I can't even imagine. Like these people, warmongers, criminals, thugs, Pentagon warmongering bastards, and black sellouts from the civil rights movement. That's all they do on his birthday, and they confuse
sell out more.
Right. So I remind myself that these people are sellouts. I remind myself that Martin Luther King stood against everything that happened in Washington under Trump and under Obama. Right? Let's be real with it. Under
everything.
That man hated everything.
Everything, brother. Talk about it.
Back and I'll watch the Vietnam speech, right? Like I'll go back and watch him talk about war. And that's when they killed him. You know, when
they killed him right after that shit.
That's when they killed him, because they wanted the money.
And then this though. This is crazy because you're so real. All these black leaders are pump fakers. You know what I mean? And especially the black political leaders, they're pump fakers. But the black population doesn't have any idea, because the same media that's feeding the white population is feeding the black population. So when it comes to the black events, the black population has no idea what really is going on, because they're getting the coverage from the media that's been lying to them about the black event. So it's crazy, because we should have had this figured out by now. You know what I mean? Because these dudes came before us and told us exactly what's going to happen. Martin, he told us exactly what's going to happen. He told us what was happening, but this is what people did. They took his message and turned it into a American political one. You know what I mean by that is they turned it to one that's saying that the American political system should be trusted and you should put faith in it because it can do right by people.
He didn't trust it. Right,
He didn't trust it.
He didn't trust it. They watered it down and they made it bull. They tried to get him to say, are you a Republican or Democrat? And he was neither one. He didn't have nothing to do with neither one of them, because he knows they're both crooks and liars.
Exactly.
Robert just asked a question. He asked, would Martin Luther King wear a yellow vest? If I can go first, I would say hell yes, he would. Because based on what I understand, the lawyer who the King family hired, they were explaining right around the time Martin got killed, he was actually pushing for apparently there's a way for the American people to stand up and demand a new constitutional convention. And that's what King was planning on doing. He was planning on having a larger march, but a march around having a new constitutional convention. And that a lot of that led up to why they killed him. And the lawyer is actually talking about it. I personally don't know how we do that. So the question is, would King wear a yellow vest? Hell yes, he would, because I think that was the main reason why they killed him, is he was trying to push back to some sort of semblance of a constitution. You know, he was trying to build something where we might have something that looks like a Bill of Rights happening in Washington, because right now we don't. And the only way you can do that is for standing down the government with massive numbers of people in Washington.
I'll actually agree with you on that. I would say yes, he would don the yellow vest, and the reason why I would say that because he was very sincere in his words. You know, he said that injustice done anywhere is an injustice to all of us. You know what I'm saying? So he said, it's basically what he was saying is an injustice to a people anywhere is an injustice to people everywhere. So therefore, we have to really take that and listen to it. We haven't let those words sink in, I think, because we still allow a lot of our people in America to suffer from injustices from the system. not just from the system when it comes to financially, but criminal justice, not just criminal justice, but educationally. We're suffering all types of injustices throughout the system, and everybody is not thinking of these words that should resonate with us, you know, because I think what happened when Martin Luther King was around was people were, you know, energized. They were energized on the fact that, you know, people had power. We had power. We had a voice. You know what I mean? Our message could be heard when we stood together. You know what I mean? Now we don't have that. We don't have the people to where people don't have power. They don't believe that their voices could be heard. They're not taught. Our communication is not with the liberating talk. We're not talking liberation. We're not speaking from a place that we want freedom, we want justice. We're speaking from a place where we're like, oh, I hate you, I hate this, but how are we going to get these little crumbs? We're going to argue, we're going to fight over crumbs. Martin was trying to get us to, he was telling us we need to fight for everything. We need to fight for everything. Every avenue of the system needs to provide justice for all people. That's what they were fighting for. And now look where we're at. Mainstream media did dumb us down. Government then dumbed us down. The psychological operations on our minds have been going full throttle from Hollywood, like you said earlier. The what you call that shit? The the fairy tales or something. What you say?
Oh, I make it with me, Fuggles.
The Fuggles, yeah, the Fuggles, the fairy tale struggles. That's real though. That's real though. We got these fairy tale struggles. Like these people had struggles, man.
Like right there, the real struggle is not taking chicken bones from master's table, right? The real struggle isn't fighting other poor people for what they don't have. It's fighting for what our kids, all of our kids, and what all of us deserve, that all of our ancestors died to build, right? It's like, but the thing is, we're all slaves, right? We're all forced labor cogs for this oligarch machine. And we're on a plantation. And I feel like this is why I don't get involved in the Fuggles, man. I don't care, the fake struggles, because they're fighting for, like, they want a better handle on their cotton bag, right? Like, you know what? They're fighting. Like, no, we need two breaks a day, not like they're not trying to end the plantation. They're like, you know what? We need to put those people further out on the plantation. I want better health care on the plantation, right? And I'm just like, you know, we have a chance to fix everything. One of the deep things that King said to this gentleman, and I never saw the quote, but apparently he was close to Martin. He said, Martin said basically, and so some of y'all might know better than I do, but he said something to the effect of, there are two ways to grab power, only two. One with money and the other with numbers. He says, we don't have the money, but damn sure we got the numbers. Right? And that's why they killed him, because he had the numbers. And this is the philosophy behind unity that people really need to think about, and stop fighting other people because they were born in a different place than you, or they got a different religion or skin color or something dumb. They're poor people like you. Is that if we actually have a message that gives us the numbers, there ain't anything that we can fix in this country, and anything we can fix in this world. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. We'll never have the money. This is a crony world, and it's that ship done sailed. The only way to fix this is you have to show up in Washington. You got to show up in your state capitals, and we have to show up with the numbers. And the numbers is when they back down. If we don't have the numbers because you're showing up with the Democrats, showing up with the Republicans, or you're just showing up with the right, or just the left, or just the women, or just, you know, civil rights, or just whatever, there's no way anything significant will ever change. Right. You know, so whatever your message is, you need to have the numbers. And the one message that everybody agrees with is liberty, freedom, leave me the hell alone, let me live my own life. I don't want to be under corporate oligarch rule. And if we can keep the basics, if we can keep just the simple basics, we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you so much, brother G. And it's like it's crazy because when I listen to you saying this, it sounds just like, it sounds peaceful. It sounds like, you know, this is what it takes. You know, he's got his mind in the right place, and you know, he's thinking about things from a mind of clarity, I would say. But that's not what many people have. Many people are suffering from the state where the mental state where identity politics has taken over. So I'm going to let you say, I'm going to do something for you right now. instead of it being about the issues, okay, solely about the issues, standing on the issues that we care about, standing on the issues of people struggling, not the fairy tale struggles, the real life struggling, not just in America, but all across the world. If we stood on the issues, I think we would have the power in numbers. I think we would have the power that you talk about, the numbers that people care, people are ready to, you know, fight for the justice that we need, or fight for the leverage that we need together. People, we have the numbers when it comes to the issues. But what's dividing us is the labels. Not just the labels, the faces. So now we can agree that war is bad. But now, once I say that I don't support the guy that you love, Bernie Sanders, the guy that you love, Barack Obama, the woman that you love, Hillary Clinton, the man, Donald Trump, all bets are off. We can't work together anymore. Oh, I can't do anything with you politically. I can't do anything with you in the community. You support this person. You support that person. We can't work together. Oh, no, my group would never dare join your group. You support this fool. You support, and that's where we're at right now. We're at the state where people have allowed the labels, people have allowed the faces, people have allowed the narratives of mainstream to dominate our communication. We don't communicate from a place to where we're concerned. We communicate from a place to where we want to just talk about what we're pissed the fuck off about. Everybody's pissed off. I'm pissed about this. I'm pissed about that. So you know what? I'm pissed at my fellow neighbor. We shouldn't be pissed at each other because we're all going through the same shit. Yeah. A little bit differently in different environments, but we're all going through the same shit.
Everybody has their own cross to bear.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own problems. Everyone's got their own demons they're fighting. But we get into this victim thing where it's, no, well, my group is more victimized.
Right.
And while all of that might be true, if you believe in
it is true. It is true.
The reality is it's not going to move us forward. I mean, what we have to grasp, in my opinion, is we have to grasp the priority of today. Mm-hmm. And the priority of today is we are dying. Mm-hmm. We are dying. The planet is dying. The planet will be okay, but we don't have to be on it. Like, we don't have time for fuggles. We have no more time for that nonsense. We have no more time for pretend and fantasy struggles because politicians want to sell books and get careers and get elected. Like, personally, I'm annoyed, and I have to stop. I got to work on me, because every time I start seeing these Bernie 2020 posts, it pisses me off. It annoys me when I see Trump 2020, Oprah 2020, all the rest of that stuff. And it's just like, you people aren't getting it. Like, it doesn't matter who's in office. It does. The only reason that it matters who's in office is because it makes you stupid. It makes you act stupid. It makes you fight for people who actually have no control in the government. And that's why I'll fall back consistently on it. And I got to stop picking on their leaders. I get annoyed when I see these little gaslit posts about these people. Like, so Bernie Sanders is going to take on the oligarchs. Really? He's going to do that. He's one guy is going to take on multiple billionaires around the world who own the Pentagon, own Black Creek, own mercenary groups we never even heard of. Right. With the CIA toppling nations all over Latin America, and Bernie Sanders is going to fight. He took money from him, by the way.
He took money from him for Vermont. He
voted for him and took money, and he's going to fight that? No, he's not stupid. Bernie's going to sell out, just like Trump is going to sell out, just like Obama sold out, just like Bush sold out, and Clinton sold out. Like, it's the requirement. You don't sell out, you get killed, right? That's why every president.
And of course, you have to bow to Israel. You have to bow to Israel. You got to bow.
You got to bend the knee, and they all bend that knee. I mean, you think about it like this: if they're willing to, if the Pentagon is willing to murder every sailor on the USS Liberty, they're willing to stand by and let people murder the president, JFK, and not investigate it. They'll redact all that information from who killed Martin Luther King. But 2020 doesn't mean a damn thing. The whole purpose of 2020 is to get you fighting now instead of talking to the people who voted for yourself. You try to get them together with you so we can fix the system, because they want Trump to do some things. And obviously you want Bernie to do some things. Me personally, I don't give a damn who's in office. I don't care if it's the Republicans or the Democrats. I just want the Republicans or the Democrats to actually have say in the government. And right now, neither have any say on anything significant and won't until we change the system.
No, they won't. Yeah, they won't until we change the system. And when we change the system, they won't be a factor, because we would have eliminated Republicans and Democrats, you know, because that's the real goal of it all. And we could start off with something fresh and new. But to go with your point, people have to realize that American government, just as they want us to be, is selective, you know, selective about which they choose to help and who they won't help, and what they choose to move on and what they won't move on, you know, even within the country. You know, this is strategy. It's strategy. Everything is strategy. And the strategy in the political arena is to continue to have us fighting. Right now, what we are fighting about is the wall. Everybody's on this side of the wall or that side of the wall. There's no neutrality. You know, there's no neutrality at all. And I'm trying to look at it from a state of neutrality to say, you know, I can understand why people would want the wall, but I also understand why there should be no walls at all anywhere. You know what I mean? But I understand why there are walls in some places because of the history of wars and such, and, you know, people having to defend their countries. But we're not at that point right now. You know, we're not at the point where we need a wall to defend America's soil from an attack or something like, you know, we're way beyond that point. But people haven't looked at these things from a state of neutrality. So right now, what you just touched on, we could come together if we had the ability to talk to Donald Trump voters. We could come together if Donald Trump voters knew that these people would be open to listen to them. You know, they're not, those voters that are conservative, they don't receive open ears from liberals. You know, progressives don't receive open ears from liberals. Progressives, when they do receive open ears from liberals, is only because liberals want the progressives to join their club, because they need the progressives in order to beat Donald Trump. The liberals cannot beat Donald Trump without the progressives, and the progressives haven't figured this out yet. The progressives are just like, we have nobody to really fight for us as a representation of people, so we have to go along with the Democrats. And then what we're right now, we're at the stagnation of thought, because people haven't thought outside of those confines to realize that it's all a sham. You know, the percentages and the numbers they're not on our side, because when you think about it, only 50% of the people in America really participate and vote when it comes to politics. And that's split and that's fractured in the three-piece pie. You know, you got, it could be more than three pieces, because conservatives are split between, like, you know, ultra pro-Trump conservatives, and then you'd have the conservatives that don't really like Trump. You know what I mean? Because they don't talk about that in the media. Those people are fractured just as much as the Democrats are fractured. And what the people need to understand is that we could become whole together outside of the political arena. You know, we could say, look, we're going to fight for the issues. We're going to laugh at these clowns, and we're going to laugh at the media, and we're going to laugh at the government. But we're going to be serious when it comes to working together. You know, we're going to take our time and our commitment and dedication to each other serious. We haven't done that yet.
Right. So Sister Patricia just posted about the wall, and I look at, people do send me posts about, you know, the wall and human trafficking and sex trafficking. And so what they're saying is that a lot of kids being brought over the border aren't being brought by their families. They're being brought by men that that capture them, and they sell them into sex slavery. And it's all true.
Yeah,
it's all true. Patricia's not lying. It's all true. But the thing that I focus on, Patricia, is that we have been trafficking children since we started the country. We've been trafficking children a very long time. We made it legal with the Native Americans. We made it legal in 1992. I forgot when the Welfare Reform Act came out, when Clinton did it, right? We put billions of dollars out there to traffic children. So we're trafficking children by airplane, by boat, by car, by wall, by every single means. In America, it's legal for foster care to do what they do. And every child in child protection, they're worth $250,000 per year to the state per child. So we are a child trafficking nation. We've done it from the very beginning. So I don't think that's what the wall is about. I think that's what some people are told the wall is about. I think the wall is it's divisive, right? It's emotional. And they play it up in the media that it's an invasion, and neither side talks about the fact that the only reason people are coming here is we destroyed their countries. And so we definitely, you know,
they leave that out.
They leave that out.
They leave that out every time.
They'll talk about sex trafficking. They'll talk about poor people at the border. They'll talk about tear gas. They'll talk about all of this stuff. Yeah. They won't talk about the fact that we destroyed their countries. Because the CIA is still down there destroying countries.
Man, G, talk about it, man. Talk about it, man. They talk about the bad guys, the gangs, the murders, and the thugs. Man, these thugs were manufactured. The same way, I'm gonna break it down. PC people don't want to be real. The same way that the thugs was manufactured in those black neighborhoods. Yep. You forgot that the black people don't want to talk about this because the mainstream media, they never tell them about it. The black community was a little bit unified before drugs, the war on drugs. They was unified and they was just trying to get ahead. They was unified and they was just trying to find opportunities. They was unified and they was just trying to find jobs to get money to get ahead. And then the war on drugs hit. And then what happened? What happened people don't want to talk about the war on drugs outside of the American standpoint to say, oh, these communities are bad. No, they manufactured murderers. They manufactured thugs. They manufactured gangs. They manufactured all that stuff. This stuff wasn't in existence pre-war on drugs because the black community was united around their liberation. In the CIA, which is still in effect today, G was talking about it, JFK, Martin Luther King, the same CIA was operating and had their hands in all of this filth. The same CIA knew that if the black community was united in their liberation, the white community would also come stand behind them in their liberation, especially if it was the nonviolent approach, this was happening. You know what I mean? They weren't doing things from a state of violence. Like, sorry to say this, but history shows us other groups of people carried out terroristic acts against the state in America. That wasn't the truth, you know, but now we have this fight where we're divided, you know, information, and the information is, oh no, these black communities are running with thugs and all this, but it's the same thing when it comes to the foreign community. The foreign community, these guys are thugs, these guys are rapists and this and that. And it's like, we've seen this over and we've seen this already. We should know this rhetoric already. We should know this divisive way that they try to manipulate our thoughts already, you know, because I don't think these dudes are bad. The people that are coming from South America, Mexico, and these places, I don't think these people are all bad people at all. I think it's people within them, like any people, like within America, people in America that are trafficking kids. You know what I mean? There are people in America that are people within them that may have schemes to want to come to America to do bad things. You know what I mean? And this is anywhere you look in America, though. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it looks like Cheryl was talking about, she said that there's more to it behind the wall, that there's a coming invasion. And I mean, my perspective on that is we've already been invaded. We've been couped. They've taken the government. They've taken the Senate. They took the Congress. We already suffered a coup. The only office they might not have is maybe the office of the president. And the presidents are always silenced. Anytime they say something, they pull them back. Everything Obama said he went in office, he didn't do. They flipped it on. Things that Trump said, he'll go to Russia and say there's certain things. What he say? Oh, our security agencies, you know, they can't do this and they can't do that, whatever he said in the speech. And he got home, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant would, not wouldn't. And, you know, they make you change your mind. So the thing is, we don't have to worry about an invasion because we don't have a government, right? So there really is nothing to take. They've already taken the government. Like the top secret technology, all the stuff that the military has, it's not even owned by the military. All that stuff is owned by Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and them. So we don't have a military. Our military's been bought. And so, you have American captives and you've got oligarchical big corporate governing that runs everything. So, I guess from an invasion perspective, I don't think that we have to worry about an invasion because we don't have a country. We don't have any influence in our laws. How many universities did those studies that said that corporations have more influence than our laws than the people? Right? We're already done. I think these things are fear tactics that the left and the right use to get people to argue and fight over that are either outdated or insignificant.
That is true. That is true. And I was going to use one that Citizens United they keep talking about this fight against campaign politics, getting money out of politics. You know what I mean? Getting money out of politics, and that's rhetoric that's used to get people to, you know, energize around a certain narrative that they know is never going to happen. There's never going to be money out of politics because money and politics go hand in hand. You know what I mean? And they made that whatever policy that was that created to where lobbyists can give these politicians an unlimited, not just unlimited, but a substantial amount of money. And later it's obvious that it buys influence. You know, people that can understand and know that lobbyists, everybody that participates in politics should know about lobbyists. If you vote and if you think you're an active voter, you should know about lobbyists. And you should question the lobbyists. You should question the whole system of how it works. You should question it.
It shouldn't even exist.
It shouldn't exist. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I was gonna say it's like super delegates.
Yes,
it's like super delegates. What is it? What is it for? But again, it's
in your face treason.
Yeah, these people can buy. They bought the government. Your government is bought. You have no influence on your government. The only way we have influence in our government is if we stand up together in numbers. That's the only way the only way out of this is numbers. It's numbers, and we have to stand money or numbers. And we're not using our money together. You need to have a massive movement to where you can have a week to where people all across the country don't spend shit on like gas or oil or whatever the case is. 1 week and crush some industry. You know, we would have to crush some industry on the stock markets or something to get a message across to the government or the financial backers of the government. But people are always diverted from the real core issues of what's going on. And the number one core issue we talked about, which is the people's inability to stand together. You know, that's the core issue right now that we're dealing with. People have to find a way to stand together. People have to find a way to rise above that mainstream media hate that they emotionally feel. So it's like when these events happened with the Native American man yesterday, people have to understand that, yes, there are young men and adults that act in that manner in which those men were acting towards that Native American man. Yes, there are people that act like that because this is America. We must always know that this is America. This country was built on hate. This country was built on dominance of a nature that said that one group of people is superior to all other groups of people. We have to be realistic of this. You know, we cannot ignore this because when we do, we don't look at these things with clarity. You know, we don't look at these things to say that they're just trying to make us divided. They're just trying to make us, you know, keep using this racial stuff. They're just trying to make us do everything we can in our minds not to want to get connected with our brothers and sisters. You know, this is what it's really about. We should want to get, because I was thinking about something. I was like, you know, they try to get us to love everything else other than each other. You know what I mean? And I realized, like, yo, my whole life I've been taught to love things. My whole life I've been taught to love money, positioning, accolades, and all this other stuff. But I wasn't really taught to embrace and love all people. You know, I was taught to love my people first. You know, when I'm talking, and this is broken down like this, I was taught to love my people first. So when it comes to that, I was taught to love my family first. You know what I mean? And then outside it, I was told to love Black people first. You know what I mean? I was told to love people that look like me, people that are from, like, I was told to love America people, you know, American people first, and so on and so forth. We're told to love everything that is not everyone. You know, we're told to just love in a way that is selective. So now
it's bigotry.
Yeah, it is. It's undercover bigotry, but it's right in front of our faces. You know, under the surface, it's there, but you don't see it because you're blinded by what they say it's okay. You know, they say it's okay for you to do this. They say it's okay for you to be proud to be American and want to do things for America first, but say fuck your neighbors and fuck where you really come from. You know, but it also has to do with how we're educated. We don't have schools to where they teach kids the freedom to, you know, think for themselves, you know, so that way they can understand. I don't want to say understand for themselves, but understand from the state of clarity to where they came and formed their own conclusions. They came and formed their own thoughts about certain events. You know, it's like pro-choice abortion That's so radical right now. You know, you can't even talk about that stuff because it's so controversial and it's so emotionally attached. It shouldn't be emotionally attached because it's life. We're talking about life. We're talking about there should be a level of seriousness that comes into play when we're talking about life. But people don't. They're not serious about it because it's politics. So politics has turned it into a joke. So now all these issues that are about life, all these issues that matter, all these issues that are to the core of who we are, we take it as a joke. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's part of my thing is we messed up and we let them turn human rights topics and to put politics, right? We messed up and we let them turn scientific and ecosystems being destroyed, climate change, whatever you want to call it. We let them turn it into political discussion, right? And politics are for just useless topics. They're not. It's not for people who are dying. Don't let them die. They're not sentient things. And that's why they give us that bigotry at birth and they make us proud of it. You know, I don't even know the pledge anymore, to be honest with you. I pledge allegiance to the
I know it. I always know it. To the flag of the United States of America.
Colonizers of America.
I know. I don't know the rest.
To the Republicans or the Democrats, whichever one.
Right.
To keep us divided, uneducated, uninformed, so the corporations can maximize all the money they want and send it to Israel.
Send it to Israel, right over to Israel.
I think that's
look, and you know what's funny, G, about the Israel thing, man? It's so sad, brother. It's so sad. It's like it's funny, but it's not even funny. Like, they send them mugs money that we know about. We only know about the money that they talk about that they send, but they send them all types of other money that we don't know about. They are sending Israel so much money underneath the surface, and it's attached to the taxpayer. We're giving it to them. The taxpayers, they attached it to the bills that they've passed, and the taxpayers don't care. And we're like, let's vote, let's vote, and they're clapping up, and it's like, yo, you can't say anything about Israel or you're going to get locked up. You can't say anything about Israel. You're going to get censored. And this is where we're about to head because Israel damn near has a major part of controlling our government. But people don't care. People don't know. And people are wired emotionally to think Nazis and Hitler when they think about Jews instead of reality. You know, we have to look at this from a reality standpoint, you know?
So let me speak to the reality on that, though. It's not even like Israel needs us. So it's not even an anti-Israel thing. Like
no. If you love the Israel people, I love them Israel people. Right. I love them beautiful people.
If you actually believe Netanyahu is a chosen person, you know, like if you believe this, right, the whole chosen people thing, if you believe a killer, a war criminal, a man who shoots children and gives the orders to shoot them in their groin, their arms, and their legs at any age, a man that orders the tanks to point tanks at children, toddlers, God's creatures. If you actually think Jesus is going to come again because Netanyahu and his murderous group of top Zionists are in power, you need to read a lot more of that Bible. You need to read a whole lot more of that Torah. You just didn't pay attention at all.
You ain't reading none of that.
At all. You didn't even open the Bible. You must have read the signature in the beginning with grandma.
You paid attention to church. You paid attention to church.
You didn't pay attention in church at all. You didn't hear one thing Christ said. If you think that people who are shooting children, who are starving, people who shut the power off on poor people who can't even do, kids trying to do their homework by candlelight, people trying to get in fishing boats and rafts and go out and catch a few fish so they don't go to sleep starving. If you think that Christ has anything to do with Netanyahu and his crew, you're lost. But here's the reality. The real statement is simply this. Israel doesn't need us. Even if you believe in Netanyahu and he's the best thing since sliced bread, he walks and you touch the hem of his garment and you'll be healed. If you really believe that this man is a religious man, you believe that this man is a good man, Israel can kill the entire Middle East without any of our help. They have enough nuclear weapons to destroy the entire earth. They have enough jets, bombs, and tanks to take on every Middle Eastern country and win, hands down. So then the real question is, why are we still sending them money? And I love the fact that you said, right, it's not, I didn't think about it because you're right. It ain't no 39 billion a year. It ain't no, we aren't sending them 39 billion a year while poor white kids and black kids chew leaves and regurgitate pee to drink because they're starving to death, that we give them so much hate. They're forced to become white nationalists because it's the only group that showed them any love. After the nation showed them that they hate them, they're forced to join the Bloods and the Crips because they're hated from birth and they're being starved. We send them a lot more money than
a lot more money, supplies, all types of shit that they don't need. And then they got us fighting about stuff that we need over here. They got people running around with their heads up their asses talking about the education. We always see, it's sad, you know, it's sad because it's so easy, you know, they do it so easily. And it's like, how the hell is this? How I think about how easy it is, and I get it. You know, we're entertained, we're comfortable. We create, they taught us to create these lifestyles to where none of the outside shit matters. You know, you can turn off the outside. That's what they basically taught us to do, turn off the outside. Not just when it comes to life events and like humanity, but nature. Think about nature. We've turned off the outside when it comes to nature. We'd rather be inside than outside. And people don't want to get their hands dirty in it. And this would really help me understand this stuff, G. It's like I started to think about nature and our connection to nature and how we just have let go altogether for the majority. You know, there's a lot of people, like I know you do good things, and I know there's a lot of other people I'm friends with on Facebook that do good things, but in my real life and like in life, I don't know that many people that are connected with, you know, being outside, getting their hands dirty, you know what I mean? Getting in the community, growing, learning, and experimenting, investigating with all these, like nature is still there and it's still beautiful and it's still for us to learn about together. And that's how it is with people. People are still there. People are still beautiful. People are there for us to learn together. You know, we're supposed to learn about each other together in a space where we're not looking to argue and worry about disagreeing or agreeing. Is everybody going to agree with me, or is people going to disagree with me? No, we're not worried about none of that stuff because we're there in love. We're there to disagree. We're there to debate about certain things. We're there to, you know, listen and understand others' opinions and their thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have that.
Well, the thing is people are acting like children. They're like little kids fighting on a playground. Now, here's a good example. Sister Cheryl and I don't agree. Sister Patricia and I, early on, we don't agree about the wall. But guess what? They're still here. And I have no issue with them. Like, it's the neatest thing that, you know what? Because I could be wrong.
Right.
I could be right. I don't pretend that I know. And it's like, it's just acting like an adult. Like, we can have a discussion. Yeah. People can say what they think. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, I've got, you know, my Trump friends and Clinton friends and the Bernie friends. They still think Bernie's going to change things, and they think Trump's fighting a deep state, and they think Clinton should have won. But you know what? The adults who are still in those worlds, they'll disagree with you, and they'll move the topic. Right. All
right. Fuck this. Let's go somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm not going to get like upset with someone because they talk about the wall or they send me stuff. People send me stuff, and I read it, and I listen to it, and I try to form my own opinions, and I say what I think, and I could be wrong. But it doesn't mean that you should be emotional enough that you break a friendship with somebody online over something none of us really.
Real shit. Real talk.
We got bigger problems. Like you talked about nature. We are literally killing nature. We are literally killing the ecosystem. Our kids, by the time they're adult, there may be no bumblebees left.
No, there ain't. Not the way we're going. They're going to be bumblebees, but they're going to be those genetically manufactured ones. And you know, like, I don't want to say Monsanto, but yeah, Monsanto and all them folk, is way deeper than Monsanto anyway. But it's like all these companies are already ahead of the game when it comes to this stuff. You know what I mean? They already are planning for when crops and, you know, the soil is unusable. You know what I mean? Not being able, you can't use the soil because it's so contaminated. You know, they've already planned for this stuff. We have no idea.
It's a great business plan.
Yeah, it's a great, but this is another thing. We funded it.
Yes.
The American people funded all these activities, and the American people have no idea. And the American people, they don't care. As long as people.
Nature's dirty, man. Nature is bugs and dirty.
It's ill. Nature's ill.
Ill. get some neonicotinoid pesticides and spray.
Oh my God, it's a bug on me. Oh my, and it's like, oh my, we're and this is another thing. Struggles, the fake Hollywood struggles. That's what Hollywood does. Hollywood paints the picture that we should hate animals, hate nature, hate this, hate that. And it starts with cartoons. Kids, they're told early, like, oh, be afraid of these things, be afraid of that, be afraid of all this bullshit. And we grow up like that. We grow up afraid. Like me, I was afraid of the dark my whole life. And I realized that, that was so dumb. You know what I mean? Like, why was I afraid of the dark? Because the movies made me afraid, the scary movies and this and that. So it's like, you're traumatized. Your mind is traumatized in a way, but it's not. It's like subtle. It's something that's innocent, but it's not innocent because it's lifelong. You know what I mean? So we have this lifelong fear that was placed inside of our minds very, very innocently, as we got educated to learn about life and love business, love money, love clothes, love cars, love women, love all the wrong things in the wrong way, instead of loving each other with the deeper connection. We can still start that now. I believe that the political situation that's happening in this country and in many other places around the world is the opening to our deeper connection to each other. I just think that people have to get past that barrier of division. When we talk about walls, we have the wall of division that's up right now, and they're building more walls. They're building more walls as fast as we're trying to knock down one wall. It's like, it's so hard because it's hard to knock down one wall of division, between you and an individual, between a group and another group. Like right now, if I can just use the progressive movement is fractured. There's Bernies, there's people that like Tulsi, there's people that think green, there's people and there's barriers all amongst them. All they had to do was knock down all these walls and sit down at the table together and discuss things, like adults, I guess you could say. But
I think it's about people looking for what they agree on, right?
Only.
They look for a conflict. Like I watch conversations and I see people agreeing, and they don't want to talk about what they agree about. They don't want to talk about how do we do something, to fix something we agree on. Mm-hmm. They look for something literally that they disagree on to get that emotional or conflict high on fighting. And but nature's a good topic, and I see people posting about like chemtrails.
Yeah. And so you can't stop that. You can't stop that.
It's a real deal that we're destroying nature. Yeah. And I don't think that, I don't see conspiracies, right? Like I just see money, right? So if I were a company and I were making crops that could grow in aluminum or coal ash, whatever, I wouldn't be opposed to somebody spraying that crap out of an airplane that destroys crops. Why? Because I want to make money. And I can convince myself that I'm a billionaire and I'm gonna do well and I'm gonna help out so many people if I could just sell my patent to grow this crop that grows in aluminum-based soils. But if I were a company and I'm making these bees that do pollination, I just want to make money selling it. I just want to do So I think we're destroying nature, and the only plausible thing that makes sense to me is that there's someone there willing to replace it. There are corporations there that have technologies they want to roll out, and they literally buy the legislation to do the things like the chemtrail spraying. And I think that the chemtrails is a great topic. Like people say, don't call it chemtrails, call it geoengineering. I prefer chemtrails, actually. Why? Because you called all those people crazy, right? I remember I had friends, they'd go right down the street on the block on the corner, and they'd had signs and stop chemtrails, stop chemtrails. And I didn't know anything about it. I just kind of looked at it like, oh, but
what these crazy people doing on the damn corner?
Crazy, man.
I see you. What's chemtrails? All right, chemtrails.
Right? Come to find out, it's true.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
And the universities are admitting it. The CIA admitting it. Government admitting it. That this is how we're going to fight climate change by
exactly. And they're going to block the sun out for amount of days.
But
it's real, man.
Right. Everybody should have in common. We are, like Jasmine just said a minute ago, we are nature.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, that we are nature. And
we are nature.
Yeah, really. And it's funny because what happens to nature happens to us. As nature shifts, so do we. But we have no idea how we shift as people. G, you're talking. I see you talking. Hello? G, you did? All right. I was just watching the other feed. But no, we are nature.
I'm
like
comments.
No, I was watching the Facebook joint, and we were still talking. So it was a little, but no, there's real talk. Like the chemtrail situation is really hard, man, because people don't want to believe. People only want to believe NASA. People only want to believe government. So people don't even want to ask questions about what they see in the sky. People don't want to talk about what they see in the sky because they don't want to sound crazy.
Well, but it's not on the news. Like Brother Donald just said, it's not on the news, so it's not real. It's not on the news, so
it's not on the news. It's not real. Exactly.
You know,
when you've been trying to pay attention, when you've been trying to get a grasp on things, people still don't believe you. You know, but I've been paying attention to a while, and I think it's deeper than just chemtrails now. You know what I mean? I think it's something to do with the universal, like the atmospheric pressures and the shifts and this interaction with the sun as well. You know what I mean? I know that they want to prevent, I don't want to say just prevent soil from just having, you know, sustainability going into the future as far as growth, but I also think they want to just, you know, transition to something above the atmosphere that we know about. You know, that's why it's like they got all these chemtrails going on. It's not, it's a dual thing, you know, it's a double entendre. Basically, they have one effect that comes down towards the ground, I guess, and another effect that goes up and towards the sky and the atmosphere. You know what I mean? So it's not just the chemicals that are coming down the lowest, but also the interaction that it has in the atmospheres and the pressure goes up or whatever the case is. But we don't even have, we just got to the point where it's come out in the mainstream to where people can talk about it a little bit comfortably now, you know, and then everybody that was conspiracy, they're like, okay, well, you know, you were right about this, but still, you know, it's that, but still, everything's always, but still.
There's no but, right?
Yeah, there's no but, you know what I mean? There's no but. It's like, are you going to believe now? You know what I mean? Are you going to believe now? And no, well, still don't want to believe.
Well, this is what we talked about earlier, which is they're hitting you with full spectrum and all sides and everything is going on so people can't focus. And this is why we have to go back and say, no, wait a minute. Let's don't walk over the chemtrail discussion, right? Yeah. You said that nobody was spraying anything.
Right.
You lied to us. Right. Why is government lying to us about spraying chemicals, coal ash, aluminum, whatever it is, out of these damn airplanes? Like that's the first redress. Like, well, but we need to vote 2020. No, we don't need to vote. We need to figure out why your lying behind is still in office. We need to figure out why should we allow you to stay in office and you've been lying to us about spraying this crap on our children. And has it been tested? Is it causing cancer? Like we get led astray because there's so much crap that's going on.
Yeah, and it's funny because by the time they realize it causes cancer and all this stuff, it's going to be too late. People are already going to be all dead. People's bodies are going to be ruined. Your immune system is going to be ruined. You know what I mean? It's like you had the chance to confront. We had the chance to confront it now. Again, we don't have the money because we don't control the sky. We trust the Air Force. Okay, people trust people trust NASA. You trust aviation, whatever organization you trust, and it's like, oh, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Let me do this. Let's go. So let's go back to the chemtrail. So what do we do about it? So let's tie in the Martin Luther King statement with what we do about it, which is we don't have, with what you just said, we don't have the money. We obviously can't buy the planes to stay grounded. We can't buy the corporations and their patents so they stop spraying that crap. The only thing we can do is show up with the numbers. The only thing we actually can do is actually talk to other people, make friendships with them, get them to understand that we are being sprayed, the crops are being sprayed. Who knows why? You know, there's all these different theories as to what they're actually up to, but that nobody in America consented to this. So you get the number, you go to Washington and you say, this is done. And so I think Brother Nick was here earlier. I like direct democracy. I like RIC. I like it because if people actually vote directly on every single issue instead of representatives, then they can represent themselves. And so they can launch a referendum with, I guess, the RIC, referendum initiated citizenry or something like that. So, but people can say, you know what, chemtrails are an issue. We need to have a vote. Have a public discussion about what is going on up there, whether or not they think it can solve climate change, what they've been doing, and the opposing side of, why is it threatening? So the same thing where we could stop 5G, we could stop chemtrails if we had the numbers. The big problem is we don't have the numbers. And the reason why we don't have the numbers, what Donald said earlier, if it's true, they don't put it on the news. They don't put real struggles on the news. They only put fake struggles, which are the fuggles, and everybody gets lost in the fuggles. And it's all about division. That's how you stop chemtrails, is you start agreeing with people. You start looking for things to agree with people. Say, you know what, I disagree with who you voted for president, but I don't give a damn. That's low priority with the big problems we have coming.
Yeah, that's true. And it's just frustrating because people, they don't even have enough backbone to confront the government, because the government right now is like by far, it's funny because you would think American government would be one of the most transparent governments in the world, considering what the taxpayers do for the government and how much they fund all these dumbass things that they do. But they have never been transparent to the people in the way that the people have known what's going on and why it's going on and why it's happening. It's always been something where things are classified. We'll let you know. We'll let you know later. Oh, this is what they call that security. Your security clearance isn't high enough for this, and we've always been in the dark. We've voted. People have voted. People have dedicated their lives to political parties. They've always been in the dark. Think about that. They've donated thousands of dollars to political parties. They've donated thousands of hours to political parties. And they've always been in the dark. They have never got any transparency out of any political party. They've never, but they've always supported and dedicated all their times to it.
Because that's my team, brother. You in Philly, you got an Eagles jersey.
You got to play. You got to be dedicated.
You got to be down with Dallas, right? To me, like I said, it's jerseys. People put on these jerseys and they're voting on world issues like it's a football game, and that's really how lost and clueless people are.
Yeah, it is, and it's sad because it's like, events like tonight. I want to shout out the little moon and little eclipse or whatever they call it, like eclipse and all this. You know how people fall in love with all the Americanized way of looking at things. But universally in the natural things, there's an eclipse happening in the night and it's beautiful. And we have no idea what it really means. We don't have we just know what they've told us it means, that the eclipse. We don't know any deep connection to, well, somebody out there might know, but in terms of who we are, we should have an idea. We should have a spiritual connection with the earth. We should have a spiritual connection with the universe, but we don't. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because
I think we do. We just don't listen.
Oh no, you're right. We do, but we don't listen. Right? We don't hear it, and we're not connected to what we hear. But our energies are dedicated to the politics. Our energies are dedicated to division. Our energies are dedicated to loving things outside of ourselves. All of our energies are dedicated to destroying that which is true to, I guess, our nature, staying connected to each other. That's why it's like, when they talk about people talk about vibrations, I realize that more often than not, we're walking around, not all of us. I'm not going to talk about everybody, but a lot of times, the majority, people are walking around in their lower form of selves. And we've become comfortable with it where that's what we expect from even ourselves. We expect to reach the highest levels of our lowest form of self because we've been educated in living a life that is involved with being in our lower form of self for the duration of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, we invest ourselves in these meat suits way too much. We invest ourselves in these temporary bodies of whatever the heck this is down here, and we're willing to let the earth be destroyed for it. And that's the damn shame part of it, is that we're literally letting corporations to make a buck destroy the future for our children.
Right.
And it's insanity. We are really lost. This is why I can't stop laughing half the time, man. I laugh so much. You're like, why? What's so funny? Why are you laughing? I'm just like,
can't stop.
Look how retarded this is, that we're actually on the third rock from the sun, And all the dumb monkeys are fighting, like the whole planet's dying. It's convulsing. The waters are rising. Damn it. Gil just said asteroids are coming. Alien Jesus is sending asteroids. You know, we have this planet has survived 500 billion ton massive iron rocks from space hitting the earth at 80,000 miles an hour. And it ain't gonna survive the Democrats and the Republicans.
They ain't gonna survive. We can't survive the Democrats and Republicans. You know what's funny?
Trump's penis is gonna end it, man. I thought it was gonna be Clinton's penis, and it's not, because they argued over Clinton's penis, tried to impeach him and everything, and they didn't get enough penis envy. So now they're all on Trump's penis and who he's sleeping with, what he did. And I'm just like, this is why I believe in aliens, man. I think the aliens are sitting right here, brother. They're watching us right now, and we are like an alien reality show. And they
love it. They love it. They love it, man. They say, look, they say, see, this is how these human beings are. See, we told you. There's no hope left. There's no hope left for these peasants.
We're still driving cars on fossil fuels 150 years after they invented it. And people actually think that this is the best thing we got going.
We live in advanced times. We're living in advanced time, brother G. This is crazy.
We're all gonna die.
We all gonna die.
I sit back and I observe it, and I look at my friends and family. And the damn shame is that a lot of these people are smart people. They're not dumb people. These people are smart.
They're fucking smart folks. You know, they're intelligent folks.
They let emotions take them. Like, that's the only way you break an intellectual is you gotta give them something emotional, something tribal, something attached to who they were born as or where they were born as, something real.
I was just thinking about this shit. Real shit. We have to give people their attachment to the history and the truth. You know, and truth, not just some investigative shit like, oh, we have to take your DNA first and then we have to put it into our system that you know nothing about because you're not smart enough to know about it's got to be a secret, our system. You can only be a doctor of this kind. And it's like, come on, man. We bought into all this bullshit and people are paying hundreds of dollars. My folks paid it. I'm like, y'all out of pocket. Y'all gonna let some motherfucking company that I ain't even gonna go into it, but I just told them, like, look, that's not a smart move. If anything, we should be getting our hands dirty, experimenting, investigating, learning about who we are, so where we can say, look, I know how to connect a blood link or whatever to history because we've kept that connection. You know what I mean? If we don't establish a connection for the people now, guess what 50 years are going to look like? 50 years, we're going to be at the mercy of all systematic stuff. We're going to be a blip in history because they're going to be like, yo, that guy, he was never a thing. Never a thing. Chris, he was never a thing. No, he was never a thing. They're going to wipe out everything. Non-existent. You know what I mean? Because we didn't allow ourselves to stay connected with each other. We didn't allow ourselves to pass down that which was real, that which was true, that which was connected to the natural things of life to our youth, to our generations of the future. You know, we'll just have let them fall victim to the narratives and the deceptive waves of all these crafty actors that are out there, you know, trying to disturb the people's minds. All types of freaky bulls crap.
And back on what do we do? And Brother Gown just posted it. Is what do we do? People, you got to start growing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It really comes down to logistics, right? Like, how do you get people to kill each other? You just starve them. How do you get people to fight in the military? You starve them. How do you get people to be tribal? When people don't have food, they will do the most violent, dangerous, and dumb things. And people who have land, you got to grow. I was starting my seeds early. I was what did I start today? Today and yesterday, I did marigolds and zinnia. I've got those going. I've already started my
early. You were early, huh?
Oh, brother, I don't play. This is not a game for me.
Season some soil. I got to throw some seeds in some soil.
The revolution will not be televised.
Real talk. That is right.
You don't need little tomatoes. You need big tomatoes. You need to get them going. So I start my seeds early. I get them going as early as possible. I grow new things every year. But so the whole point is that, you know, I mean, you want to put on a yellow vest and go out and protest. All the government has to do is stop the supply chains of food and water, and everybody will go home. You know, this is logistics, man. If we don't know how to take care of ourselves, if we're not strong people, we will do whatever the oligarchs want. And so people have to go back to some basic things. And how do you take care of yourself? So if the dollar collapses, you know, how are you going to feed your neighbors? You know, you know,
or,
so people have to,
are you going to be connected with your neighbors in the way that you already know that you're good? You know what I mean? Because people, you started some beefs with your neighbors, you hate them, and then when the shit hits the fan, they're gonna be like, they're like, oh, you need me now, you need me, huh? Yeah, oh, but you was mad I love Trump. You was mad I love him. Oh, you need me now, huh? You want to no, you can't get that.
Look at my tomato pie. It's good, isn't it? You want some tomato pie? You can't. No, you can't. You can't. Because you ignored your grandmama. Your grandmama said to grow, and you stopped. You got a job on Wall Street, you know, and it's insanity. But this is what all of our grandparents taught us, man. Is you got to have a pantry. You got to know how to take care of yourself. Like being a man wasn't going to college and getting a job. Being a strong woman wasn't going to college and getting a job. It's knowing how to take care of your family in any environment.
Not having to worry about any governments.
Right, exactly. When there's no government, when there's no food, there's no rain, there's no minimum sun, when there's no jobs, when, you know, your corporation lays you off, strong people know how to take care of their families. Strong people know how to take care of their neighbors. That's how you build strong communities, is through strong people. And the sick reality is they built a society, a monoculture, based in us taking pride in being weak. We are very weak consumers who can't take care of ourselves nor our neighbors, and we take pride in it. It's actually funny. It's like, I didn't know how to screw in the light bulb. It's just so funny.
We posted on social media.
Right. I didn't know how to fix the vacuum. I just threw it away and I bought a new one, girl. Oh yeah, this is a nice vacuum. Like they turned us into these very sick people who are extremely weak, who can't take care of ourselves, and we find pride in it, and we find humor in it,
and we laugh at people that are quote unquote weak in the eyes of what we've been told, when it's actually us that we should be looking in the mirror at ourselves. You know what I mean? We have to look in our mirrors and ask ourselves, are we too reliant on the government, not only just for like way of life, but for information? You know, because when we rely on these avenues that are out to deceive us for information, it distorts our view of the world. You know, right now, I believe our worldview is distorted, and not just of the world, but even our American view is distorted in a way, because we haven't established the connections with each other in the way that we get the clarity we need, you know, and that's not mainstream media watered down understanding of what people are going through, you know, the struggles, like you said, the fake struggles, you know, because the mainstream media will optimize the fake struggles and drown out the real struggles, you know, because that's what they want you to do. That they want your emotions to be connected to the fake struggles, you know. So the fake outrage of racism in America right now, because Donald Trump is a president, it's fake. It's fake. The racism never left America because it's always embedded in the system, you know what I mean? But
it's always been fake.
You know what I mean?
It's always been fake. This is the challenge I give everybody, the racist challenge. Everybody racist. I tell everybody racist.
Everybody racist. No, real shit, we are.
Racist. Everybody is. I mean,
American. You know, if you say you're American, you racist.
This is our society, and it plays on our brain and how it works. You know, a nicer way of saying it is we're perceptionists, right? If you don't like the word racist, you can say we're perceptionists. But when you look at somebody, you are already making 20,000 decisions based on what you see. You're looking at you, you're looking at their eyes, their hair color, what they're wearing, how they're walking, who they're talking to, who they're walking with, how they're talking on their phone, the type of car they're driving. And you're making these decisions, including their skin or their race or any of that perceived. You're looking at their class. Are they upper class? Are they middle class? And you're all these prejudgments.
All write a list.
You know, and it's just real. I'm just being real. I don't like I like to be honest. And so the thing is that we are raised to thrive in our own bigotries, and we're raised to focus and think that our bigotry is okay and others aren't. Right? That ego, Nameless is talking about it right there. And it's a scary thing, but you know, so to me, it's just like, it's not a topic. They say Donald Trump is racist, and I say, yeah, I know. So am I. Why do I care? Why is that important? Why is
if
that
Donald Trump racist, I'm a racist too.
Talk about something else? Like, can we talk about something significant?
Something I don't know. You feel me? Like,
right,
come
like
on,
Donald
big
Trump
boy.
is a bad right. Donald Trump is a bad man. Like, really, you just figured that out? Like, he's a billionaire.
Right.
He's a billionaire in a country with millions of starving white and black children who's never done anything.
You just found out he's a bad man.
You just figured that out for real? Like, oh, but Oprah's a good one. Oh, and then Oprah's a good woman.
Good one. Oprah good though.
Oprah has billions of dollars. She can feed everybody in this nation. How come she hasn't? Well, okay. Talk about something serious for once.
Black and she's a woman. You know what I mean? This is the thing. It's like this. I'm over that shit. You know what I mean? I respect and love blackness, I guess you would say. But it's like, no, when it comes to reality, call it what it is. A spade is a spade. These people fucked up. It don't matter. It don't matter white people is fucked up.
And you know what? And the thing is, I don't blame Trump nor Oprah. I have no animosity for him. Like, I get it. Like, to be honest with you, if I grew up in Oprah's family,
you would have been
my uncle was raping me, my father didn't want me, and like all the horrible things that happened, if I ever grew up and I got $1 billion, damn it, I'm gonna be safe. Okay. Some of them psychopathic genes might get flipped. Like, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna touch me again. Right. If I grew up as Trump and mama wasn't there, daddy was there, and he said the Negroes are the problem for every damn thing that happened. And you know, and he grew up. And the funny thing is, that's not even his perspective, though. That was his father's perspective, and he evolved from his father. And he doesn't have his father's philosophy, right? But he's got his billionaire philosophies. But he grew up and he had a lot of money. All you poor people are always trying to take his money. Then you know he's going to become what billionaires become. They become rich bricks. And so, to me, like none of that is news. Like, why is that important? Oh, he's cheating on his wife. Yeah, really? Do you cheat on yours? You know, I know you since high school, right? Like, you know, we used to go out drinking at the bar, and I saw you looking at the one with the speckles. Okay, all right, let's stop. Let's be.
You could just say easily, do you treat every woman outstandingly?
Right. Oh, but he said grab him by the coochie, and I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Come
I grew
on.
up with you.
That right there was the reach beyond reaches, man. That was sad. That's when I knew there was no hope left. You know what I mean? They tried that loop. Man.
But you know, so the thing that gets me, and to put it in all perspective, if I'm getting on somebody's nerves right now, to put it in all perspective, we have kids in Haiti eating mud cakes. We have kids in the Congo peeing in buckets and trying to recycle their pee to drink for water. My point is, you and your problems with this president or the previous president are completely insignificant in the grand scheme of what we should be doing if we ever want to be sentient creatures. Because right now we're not. We're not. You know, look at the police state and look at the kids, right? Like, I mean, look at what the police. Okay, let me say it the right way. Look at what the laws are sending the police to do. Right. You know, see, it's easy to blame the police. And I think you know my stance on that. There's some new people, so I make sure that people know. I mean, this is where I'm coming from, right? So, well, you know, the police shot this kid. And let me be clear, because I want to make sure that I always put out the right statistic, that police shoot more children you call white than they do black, period. Not even a topic. That's a true statistic. People shoot more black kids by percentage when you look at the percentages in the nation. So we have an population percentage. Right. We have an apocalypse happening, and it's not a racist one. It's not. Okay? We have an apocalypse happening because someone thought it was a good idea to send grown men with guns to give you speeding tickets. Someone thought it was a good damn idea to send grown men with guns and grown women with guns who are trained to your house to give you a citation
for a nonviolent offense. For a
nonviolent offense. And those people, you know what those people are? They're called Democrats and Republicans. They built the police state. They wrote the laws. And you can be mad at police till you're blue in the face. It ain't going to change a damn thing. If you want to save any of these little black kids or white kids or Mexican kids or anything, then you need to go to your legislators who wrote the laws. They're the ones who are sending. They're the ones who are setting up these situations that are getting all of these kids murdered and thrown in prison.
Real talk. Like I said, they manufacture this very well. They manufacture these occurrences so that way they have the the protectors to come in and handle the problem. So like the war on drugs, they manufactured the war on drugs. And then guess who they swoop in? The police, the SWAT, all these feds and all this shit, the FBI. They got 10 to 20 years full of coverage out of this. You know what I mean? 10 to 20 years. And now today we see the same thing happening. When you send the police in to manufacture crimes, I guess you say, oh, they're speeding, stolen, speeding, all these different types of broken tail light. How does a broken tail light turn into a death? How does an illegal turn turn into death? How does a nonviolent response to a nonviolent call turn into death? Training. That's how you train. You train to kill. You're not trained to protect and serve. You're trained to go out and slay.
You're not getting kittens out of trees. And the police didn't ask for that. The police, they were little kids running in the street with you with the little fake gun. Pow, pow, bad guy. I'm going to save everybody. And they went and they signed up. And guess what? And they found out when they became the police that that's not the job anymore, that they've been turned against the population. We're a police state, and that's what the Democrats and Republicans want. They need a police. Empires require police states. So the reason... You know, the reason why Black lives and white lives and Mexican lives and Asian lives and all these lives don't matter is because they can't matter. You live in an empire. Oligarchs own your country. Corporations bought all your laws. You don't have a Bill of Rights, and they don't want you protesting. So they're rolling out 5G because the police state is starting to have issues to control you.
Yeah, right. So when the police state can't control people, then they have to insert the technology. You know what I mean? And the technology will definitely control people because the people have no idea how to combat the technology. You know, people have no idea how to use the technology in the way that they should use it to come together. You know, we have the ability right now to generate the numbers that we need. We have it. We've had it for the last, I don't know how many years. But the thing is, I guess as people have become aware throughout this critical era of information and age of internet, as people have come aware, we're still not banding together in the way that we should be. You know, as people become more aware, we're supposed to be establishing connections. We're not supposed to be looking to break and fracture out into more disconnection, but that's what has transpired. The Bernie Sanders movement was connection. People were connected, you know what I mean? About issues, about this and that. But sadly, it showed what we were shown the truth, you know what I mean? Because I seen something that felt, at first, I'm just going to be real, it felt like, you know, this was something that was monumental because people were actually thinking about coming together in the way that we needed people to come together across diversity. You know, it was all diversity, really. I've seen a lot of it. But I realized that people all had different beliefs about what they expected. You know, I expected for this to be something where it was about the people. You know, Bernie Sanders was the one speaking the stuff on the political stage that we didn't have a chance to do because we didn't have a political stage to do this. So I was like, yo, this motherfucker's speaking the shit that we could speak. This is what we need. It's some shit that feels revolutionary. But I realized that people were more about America than justice. And what I mean by that is people were more in tune with it being about fixing the American political system, as opposed to it being about really getting, you know, these issues solved, getting these issues tackled, getting these things dealt with. You know, it was more about, it was the cool, you know how cool things, people want to be part of the end and the trendy thing. It was trendy. 2016 was trendy. And that's when I realized that this fucked up because that whole part of that revolution was fake, you know, but it was a time for us to evaluate how fake things can be when we're, you know, deceived by mainstream media, when we're deceived by politicians, when we're deceived by everything else, because we've always looked outside of ourselves. You know, we've always looked for that, because that was the time for us to stay connected with the issues. You know, we did stay connected with the issues because we believed in the systematic way of doing things. You know what I mean? And now, as it's shown, it doesn't work. We knew it didn't work, but they've shown us again it doesn't work, and we stand here.
Yeah, and I want to chime in on what Patricia Hauser just said, and she's right. So, you know, most of my friends online right now they are Trump voters who are sick of the system, not Trump voters who believed in Trump, not Trump voters necessarily who were Republicans, but they were Trump voters who were sick of the system, Bernie voters who are sick of the system, not the ones that are, hero worshiping Bernie, not the ones that are still chasing him, but the ones who are sick of the system, and Green Party who are sick of the system. And the thing that I see the most with all of that is they all have one damn thing massively in common. I disagree on how to fix things. And to me, we don't need to agree on how to fix things.
No.
What we need to agree on is this can't continue.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the majority of Democrats and Republicans, they're still fighting to keep the system.
Yeah.
Right? They're still voting to keep the system and to keep this murderously bloody thing going on. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was, I was in a Tribe Called Quest today. I was in a Tribe Called Quest.
Okay, throwing it back, baby.
I was moving it today, but but so the funny thing is, it took me into a lot of other music I grew up with. But the biggest thug in the world is the Pentagon.
Okay.
The Pentagon is thug life. The Pentagon is murderously bloody evil. They make every thug that you ever met look like a baby, right? The biggest evil in the world. And you could talk about who controls the Pentagon, but if we can't agree that murdering people is a good idea, then I don't think we should exist.
Yeah, that's true. That's it.
If we can't agree that sex slavery is a bad idea, I don't think we should exist. If we can't agree that sending weapons to Africa to pick one warlord over another because you get cheap minerals through the CIA and the Pentagon and these relationships and big corporations, and they drug 14-year-old kids and give them guns made in America to go rape women, and the kids don't want to do it. The warlord kids, the child soldiers don't want to do it, so they drug them up to get them to go rape towns of women as intimidation. You're telling me all this is happening today? We shouldn't exist. So I have I guess you can call it dark if you want to, but I have a position is we either change this system or we need to be wiped out. We either change this system because this shouldn't exist. None of this should. This is the greatest. It is kinder and gentler to the children of this planet to be wiped out in extinction from a nuclear exchange between Russia and China and America and whoever the other dummies that are got going than to continue to let these real oppressions, these real demonic model continue. And so, but anyway, the point I was making is Bernie served a critical role. He served a critical role. He got a lot of people to agree with what a lot of my Trump friends already agreed with. The system doesn't work and it needs to be shattered. Right. You disagree on, on who you want to put in power to fight it. But if people could just ally on that one perspective, the system is broken. We need something new, or we need to burn the mother down. Like Dee Dee just asked, I don't get in trouble. Because now when I talk rough, I get in trouble. Somebody reports me. Do they want us to, are they pushing us for revolution? Of course they are.
Yeah.
They're pushing us for revolution because it's all our government knows. And I take that back. I'm sorry, it's not our government. I got to change how I talk. It's all the oligarchs' government knows. All they know is force and violence, kill and murder. That's all they know. That's where they thrive. And so we are in their territory. And so when I think about why they're pushing revolution, it's because they know what to do. They can deal with that. They're ready for that. The Democrats and Republicans,
they are so ready.
They're ready to murder as much of their population as they need to stay in power. So no, you can't give them violence. You can't give them a revolution because it's what you want. Like a part of the art of war is you look at what your enemy's strength is, and you never let them pick the battlefield.
Right.
The police state, and mind you, when I say the police state, I talk about the control structure, right? Not the people. Yeah, you got great police officers, you got great FBI, you got great Homeland Security, you got great, probably CIA, you got great people in all of these organizations, but it's the control structures that hand down the orders, and those orders are to start conflicts. You can't let if your enemy thrives at violence, you can't let them pick that battlefield. And that's the battlefield they want. And that's why I'm against any kind of violent revolution.
Yeah.
Then besides the fact, every violent revolution that occurred, on the other side of it, all that happened is whoever won became the oppressor, and they oppressed other people.
That's all. You know? That's all. That's all.
You know, we need, when I talk revolution, I talk stand down. All we got to do is walk away. The system needs you to believe in it. It needs you to support it. It needs you to buy from it and work from it. It needs you to fight with your neighbor over whatever. And I just say stand down, walk away from it, grow your own food, find some land, eject yourself from the system, make things, repair things, stop being a consumer, and let the system collapse on itself, and we can build something better.
Right. And then we just have to find a way to do that in enough numbers that where it has enough financial effect. You know what I mean? Because I think that people have to stand down. You know, it is very, very crucial that people evaluate not just the here and now, but evaluate the future if we don't stand down. You know, the future, if we don't stand down, looks like more Democrat, Republican, more divide, less voice than we have now, because we really don't have any voice now as people unless we go out and show our asses. But we're really not going to have a voice in the future if we put this in the hands of our children, because our children are going to have no understanding of what's going on, because one, they're getting indoctrinated the same way we were indoctrinated. But the real clinching effect on this is their elders are different than our elders. Our elders, majority of the time, our elders had a connection with the elders that went through a whole bunch of real struggles. Our elders were in the mix at the height of civil rights movement, to where they seen real struggle, real pain, real battles with the system, I guess you could say. We haven't really had any real battles with the system. We haven't really seen any real, I'm not going to say it, like people that are in the certain communities and environments where they, you know, don't have all the amenities and access that a lot of the other communities have, are living in the real struggle in America today. But they shouldn't be, but they are. And that's just sad. But we haven't had a moment where we as people came together to just stand down from the system and say, listen, if we all continue to participate in this, we're going to be at the mercy of these same actors of deceit from times past. And we should really take a long look at how they have deceived us. You know, right now where we stand, we're divided by race. We're divided by political identity. We're divided by wall. You know, more moral shit. Like this shit says there should be no walls, and there's just laws of the land. There's no walls. You know what I mean? Laws of the land is just you have to deal and come to know and understand people and what they're going through, so that way you can solve the issues from a humanitarian standpoint. And if we were able to do that, if we can talk from a realistic standpoint, we as people, we have no bargaining power for those individuals down there in the political system. You know what I mean? So they're at the mercy of Democrats and Republicans. But we could have bargaining power if we actually stood together. You know what I mean? Instead of talking about the wall, we could have thousands of people going down to where they plan on building the wall, saying, look, shut this shit down. We don't want to hear no wall talk, because we stand with the people on both sides. You know what I mean? We don't just stand with those people down there coming up that want to get to a better life, a way of living, or whatever the case is. We stand on both sides, and we're not going to listen to the rhetoric that is coming from the mainstream. We're going to communicate and talk to the people ourselves. And not only are we going to talk, we're going to document it ourselves too. See, this is what we don't have. We don't have documentation from these areas of struggle that is non-biased. So that way we can have the real truth of what's going on and try to put the pieces together. Because right now we have American media saying, oh, these countries are, you know how America works. They want to give a country real democracy, which is fake democracy. So the country has an election that is up to the country standards of democratic, and a candidate wins. More often than not, it's the people's candidate. And here comes America swooping in with their candidate of choice, or their side that they choose. And they tell us, because we believe them, that this is what must be done in these countries. Like, this is what needs to be done, because like they did with Libya, which is people. This is people's biggest. I think people's biggest foreign policy boo-boo is Libya. Because if they took a little deeper look at Libya, it's the blueprint for all other I don't want to say colonization, but all other invasions.
Oh yeah, right.
Paint the picture of their leader as an insufficient. I don't know, it's insufficient. I don't know which word. Paint the picture of their leader as terroristic. And you know what we think. When we think terroristic, we think, oh, they're doing something inhumane to their people, and they're doing something that is so worse than America is doing to its people. They paint this picture that they're treating their people much worse. But more often than not, that's not true. But we have no idea because we believe mainstream media. We believe our government. Our children are believing our government. Our children are being raised with the same lies that we were being raised on because the parents are not the parents are not standing together. If parents stood together, the education system today would have a major overhaul, Brother G. They wouldn't be teaching them kids that fake history. They would be teaching kids the history of the international community. But no, parents haven't stood up together. And parents are afraid to stand up together because guess what? America is the real daddy of the youth. America can tell them when they can take the government, they can take your kids away. You know,
anytime they want.
If you don't send your kids to school, the government is going to swoop in and take your kids away. If your kid is insubordinate, they got somewhere to send your kid. You know, they got all types of things to put fear in our hearts or fear in our minds. You know, that's what it all comes down to.
Right. That's the number one thing is children. You know, they know how to get a violent response out of you. You know, and so, you know, but and I think people are still talking about the wall and child trafficking and drug traffickers. The other thing I'll say on that, though, is that does anyone actually think that there's any crime in America that occurs that they don't know about? Like our cell phones are recording us right now. Your cell phones take pictures and cameras and videos for corporations. Your television, everything else will be listening. We have video. Well, I don't think it's video. I think we have voice recordings of pretty much everything that happened leading up to the killing of Jamal Khashoggi on the other side of the planet in other countries behind multiple firewalls and servers in secure buildings and embassies. Does anyone actually think that there's any crime that happens in America and our government doesn't know? The government doesn't know. They know it all. Right? The wall is not going to stop child trafficking. Child trafficking occurs because they don't give a damn. It's not their job. They're not, you know, like it's like Charlottesville. You know, why did Charlottesville happen? Because it's not our government. They don't give a damn. Did the NSA know that a couple hundred people on one side were taking 2x4s to go fight people on the other side with urine balloons and bottles? Yeah, they knew.
Right.
What do you think? They think thousands of people hid that they were all going to go to Charlottesville and fight each other and end up in the death of that little girl? Of course they knew. So why didn't the NSA call the local police? Why didn't they call the governor? Why didn't they get the National Guard involved? Because they don't give a damn. That's why I'm saying that the wall's not going to stop sex trafficking, child trafficking, or anything. You know, we have to stop acting under the belief system that we have a government. People, we don't have a government. We have an oligarchy. They serve corporations, not us. They don't care. People walk around walls. They dig under them. They climb over them. You know, their human trafficking is too profitable in America because of the legal system made it profitable, and it will remain profitable. And they're not doing anything about it with the police state because they don't care. We need to make and act, and this is one of my points. We need to make decisions and act like we don't actually have a government, that they're not there for us. When we start thinking on that level that we're not controlling this, our political parties don't control it, our elected officials aren't controlling it, that they're being controlled, then we can make good decisions. Until then, we still get played. And as a truth community, and most of the people here, I think, are largely related to the truth community. None of us know it all, you know, obviously, but But I think one of the basic principles we really got to think about swallowing is that things aren't really as they appear. You know,
Right.
and the
Right.
wall is all over the news. And to me, the way my mind works, it means it can't be a real struggle. It can't be a real significant thing because if I control the media, there's no way in hell I'm gonna let all the dumb monkeys talk about anything that's
something
important.
that means something. Yeah, and that's funny. Yeah, that's true. And that's what people still haven't really grasped and understood that yet. And hopefully they will still.
Look, we are policed, not government. No government. We don't have a government. We're not citizens. We are just being policed. We are captive, literal slaves. And half the time now, it's funny. I think people say the wall is for us. The wall is actually to keep us in. You know, now it might mean it to keep sex trafficking out, but sex trafficking is a part of the U.S. government. They're never going to stop it.
And I want to make sure people have to understand this as well. It's like all institutions of government act independently of themselves, to where it's like we have to really attack the different institutions in different ways. You know what I mean? Because the financial institution is separate from the criminal justice institution. And the criminal justice institution is separate from the education institution. And we have to have people ready to tackle all these different industries or these different organizations, because it all operates as government, you know what I mean? But they're all divided in a way that takes people attention. So it's like when we talk about war, we get distracted from education. And when we talk about education, we get distracted from the injustice in the criminal justice system. And it's like they have a way of keeping it all government, but keeping us every which way, you know, over here, there, and everywhere. And it's like we can't focus and center our minds on just this issue or that issue. You know, we are all over the place with the issues, but we have to, like you said earlier, come to the conclusion as a collective, as a whole, as a unit, as a people, that the government is just fucked up. We can't continue to allow the government to operate in the way that it's operating. We can't continue to just believe. Like you said, a lot of people here are truthers, but as we are truthers, we have to keep sharing these messages. You know, we have to keep sharing these videos. We have to keep talking and sharing new narratives. We can't fall into the political narratives that everybody else is entertaining, because we have to give people a different narrative that we all should be entertaining instead. You know what I mean? And this works because it's like an army. The mainstream media is an army. People don't realize it, but they're free advertisement for the mainstream media. Because when people watch CNN, people watch MSNBC, and then they go talk about what they've seen on MSNBC and mainstream media and then CNN, they're giving them free advertisement, okay? Because they're advertising their narrative. The people are so oblivious. They're oblivious to the fact that they're advertising a narrative that was manufactured to divide us up. You know what I mean? Right. But they don't see the hook. What we have to do is, I don't want to say manufacture there, but we have to keep speaking truthful things and messages of power of uniting. But we have to talk about this with our everyday folk that we're around. You know what I mean? We can't just like get sucked into the mainstream media narrative. We have to know, we have to change those narratives. So when we get around our people, we have to talk about creating a new government or how it would look with a new government or what we should expect, because people don't talk about this stuff. They have no idea what to expect. And the Democratic Party and the Republican Party has told people to just rely on them. No, we need to rely on each other. So we need to have people thinking of what it's going to mean to rely on one another. We need people to think what it's going to mean to have to say, fuck the government. Or, you know what I mean? We need people to approach this from different ways. You know what I mean? I'm about to have to go though, Brother J.
Yeah. Well, last question. I'm gonna let Brother Gunn ask that question. Do you think America will ever strap on yellow vests?
I want to say no and yes. And it's sad that I'm saying this, but it feels like where it's going now. I want to say no, because mainstream media is just too powerful right now. You know, if mainstream media is not calling for there to be a march, there won't be the numbers that France has. It just won't happen because people still trust mainstream media. Too many. And it's sad to say that, but people still trust mainstream media. Do I believe that we could ever become France, ever become like France? Yes. but will it? The thing is, it can't be something to where, you know, we put ourselves out there like the yellow vests are doing, because I think we have to be more strategic. You know, anything that's coming up against the current empire that we're up against is, it has to be strategic. It can't just be about emotions. It can't just be about yelling and screaming. It has to be multifaceted approaches. You know what I mean? Because we have to think like an army. When an army, when they go against, this is combat. Like you said, this is not the violent combat. This is the civil disobedient nature. You know, so we have to be militaristic in the way we move. We can't just say, oh, we're going to go yell and scream in front of the Capitol and expect stuff to happen from yelling and screaming in front of. No, we have to have people that are willing to yell and scream in front of the Capitol, but not on the mainstream media's message, on the power to the people's message. But then we need people that are active in different communities. You know what I'm saying? Not just communities, but at governmental institutions, you know, because we need to put the pressure on the governmental places of service, you know, the places where they do operations, and be civilly disobedient in these places, to where we let those figures that are acting out the script of the directors, we let those figures know that we're here. You know, we're here and we're not going away. That's what France is doing right now. They're letting the government know that they're there and they're not going away. And people can say like, oh, well, this is infiltrated by this or whatever. No, but those people are there. They have been there for weeks at a time. And that's not infiltrators. You know what I mean? If those people are dedicated to being there weeks on end, it's not full of infiltrators. You know what I mean? Infiltrators get paid. Hey, you get paid to go to this march, set it off, do some bad shit, and then that's what it is. They're done. You know what I mean? But those people are dedicated, and I don't believe the American people are dedicated enough, because the mainstream media has too much money to fund their narratives. They have too much money to fund their division, and they have too many friends in high places. Like right now, Facebook is connected with the mainstream media. You know, Facebook is connected with, sad to say this, but Facebook is connected with the banking institutions. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg, people admire and look up to Mark Zuckerberg because of what he's created, and, you know, whatever the case is. Shout out for creating Facebook and letting us get it, but they forget to understand that that type of money normally, more often than not, thinks without a conscience. You know what I mean? That type of money doesn't have a conscience when it's thinking. It's all strategy. It's more. Right. It's when you're thinking with billions of dollars, you're thinking all strategy. You're not thinking like, oh, I care about the people. We're going to let the people spread the true message, and we want to support the people be able to do what they do. And no, they think about strategy. How can we keep the people looped in? How can we benefit the structure of the whole to keep people sucked in, to keep people giving their information, telling about their lives, fighting each other? And that's the strategy, and it's working very well. And it's just sad that it's working against us, but, you know, we just have to keep talking to where maybe we have enough connection with the people across America to become something like the French. You know, it's small. It's going to start small, of course, because we don't trust each other, but we can become something one day like the French, I would say. It's the potential to become like French, yes. But again, no, because, you know, there's no real backbone in a lot of the people.
Yeah. I think we will.
Mm-hmm.
I think we will. I think it's in our future to strap up yellow vests. And the reason why I do is looking back at history, when Americans are in trouble, Americans, their fear drives them, right? Pain drives them, fear drives them. The reason why the mainstream media is so successful at what it does is it's a phenomenal fear monger. It fear mongers the right into just quaking in their boots, and it fear mongers the left into pooping in their diapers. And so that has their attention. When something worse than that happens, things will change. And so what I suspect is when we run into whatever it is, whether it's a collapse of the economy, collapse of the dollar, you know, think about 9/11. When that happens, people are going to focus on the big elephant in the room, the big gorilla in the room. And so I think America will, because I think the downfall that we're in our economy, it doesn't have a turnaround. And I think at that point, people will. The challenge is, will they know what to do with that power? Will they understand what happened in France in terms of requiring to show up week after week after week after week in a sustainable way on a sustainable day, you know, where very few people are working on a Saturday, and having a message, you know, which is why I like direct democracy. When something bad happens, when people have more to fear in real life than they do in television fantasy struggles, Americans will stand up. Now, will it be too late? That's anybody's guess. It depends on how long. Right. It depends on how long the oligarchs pay the Democrats and Republicans to hold up this fantasy reality. But it'll happen. It'll happen. I don't know when. We have to learn to stop fighting with each other. You know, I mean, we can do it sooner if we were more, if we had more concern for our neighbor, and we're just not.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. That's so real.
We're not there. And so I think disaster will occur. Americans will pull together. I think they'll call a constitutional convention. They'll call for direct democracy. I think better times are ahead. The question is,
I definitely do too. I definitely do too. But I just don't know the sacrifices and the trauma that we're going to have to experience to get through those those good times. You know what I mean? I don't want us to have to, you know, experience many hard times and hardships, but it might have to happen. But also, I want people to realize that if we work together, we won't have to sacrifice as much as if we try to go at it alone and individually and fractured up. You know what I'm saying? So we have to try to, you know, connect our minds and, you know, think about all those great things that we do have in common and let that control the narrative more or less. But also be willing and ready to just keep an open mind to the real struggles that people are going through. You know what I mean?
Real talk. Real talk.
All right, brother. Appreciate this too, G. This is a good talk, man. That was a really good one. We touched on a lot of good stuff, brother.
Yo, I think
I appreciate everybody for joining too.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone joining, and I think that was a solid way to end it. Is there are real struggles out there, and a lot of people are hurting, and we need to stop being apathetic to the pain they face. So I appreciate it, brother. It was a good conversation. Thank you, everybody.
You already know it's all love.
And we will do this again sometime soon. Guys, go to sleep. You got slavery tomorrow.
Or go look at that. I'm about to go look at that moon, G. I'm going outside. I'm about to go holler at that moon.
I'm about to head out there myself.
You already know.
All right. Y'all have a great night now. All right. Bye-bye.